Let's go up and right before our class finishes, before our curly brace here, I'm going to put a mark and call this user defaults. And we're going to have two functions here. First one is private func save to user defaults. And what we want to save is a location. And this is going to be a weather location. And the next function is again private func. We're going to say load from user defaults. And you may ask why we want to load this from user defaults. And since we only want to save, the reason we want to load from user defaults is to see if this object already exists in our user defaults. If it does exist, we don't want to save it one more time. So each location we want to have in our user defaults only one time. So that's why we need to load from our user defaults to see what currently we have there. And in order to do that, we need some kind of storage on top. Let's go to our variables, and we need to create another array of objects that we will be storing our saved locations. So I say var saved location. This is gonna hold a weather location, and it's gonna be actually let's have it as an optional. So we may have this or we may not have this, because the first time we run our application, our user defaults will not have anything inside of it. So this will be nil. Okay, and let's, since we are here, we put another constant, user defaults, and this is going to be equals to user defaults.standard, because we are going to use this to save and load our information from and to user defaults. We want to have this as a global variable so we can access it and we don't have to declare it every time in a function. So let's go down to our save user defaults function. And what we need to do here, first we want to check if our user location, saved user location array is nil or no. So we say if saved locations is not equals to nil, it means we have successfully loaded some information and we have put it inside our array. So we need to check if our current location that we want to save is matching with any of the items in our already saved locations. Else means that we don't have anything in our user defaults, so we are free to go and just do the saving. Okay, and let's do the first part here. So if we have a user location, I'm going to say check if it exists in my array already. So if I say if saved locations, and we need to unwrap this because it's an optional and we just check that it's not nil. We'll say contains, and what it contains is our location that we are passing. So we check if it's already in our array, and if it's already there, we are going actually we're going to put an exclamatory mark here. So if this object is not inside our array, this is the not part here. Let's see what's the problem here. Cannot convert value of type weather location to expect argument of throws boolean. Let's see. All right, contains, and we need to have just a location here. And right now this doesn't work because our weather location, we cannot use it to compare things. And let's see how we can fix this. If we go to our weather locations struct, let's go to our struct here, weather locations, and as our struct is, we cannot use it to compare one weather location with another one, because this doesn't conform to a protocol that is required to compare two weather locations. How we can do it is to put double dots here and say equatable. So we confirm that our weather location is conforming to this protocol. And let's close and Command P, and this error should disappear. Because now we conform to the protocol and our weather location can be compared with another weather location. Okay, the next thing we are going to do, so if it's not in our saved array, this is the not part to remember, we want to add this to our saved location. So we say saved locations, and I can actually unwrap this because we are checking that it's not nil. And I'm going to say append, and now we can append our location. Okay, this is in case if we already have a location. If we don't have a location, what we want to do is to save this location. So it means our current saved locations array is empty because there is nothing in it. I'm going to say saved locations is equals, and I'm going to create a new array and put my location inside of it. So it will be the first object inside my saved locations. And once we are done with adding or updating our saved locations object, I want to save this to my user defaults. So if I say user defaults that we created on top, we need to have a small letter here. I want to say set, and we are going to set the value for key. And the value is gonna be our array of saved locations. But since it's holding a value objects of weather location, I cannot just put here saved locations for key, and my key is going to be locations. Okay, so this will not work. If we make Command B, it doesn't complain, but this will not save. So let's say user defaults, we want to synchronize, and let's do our loading. What I want to do, this part will not work because we will get back to it in our next lecture. But before we do that, we want to make sure that our load from user defaults function will work, so we can check that this works or not. So here I'm going to check if we have something in our user defaults. Say if let data is equals to our user defaults dot value for key, and our key is whatever we save it for, which is location. And we need to check as data. So if we have this data, I'm going to say our saved locations, this is going to be equals to basically our data, which, and this will not work because we don't conform to a protocol here. Say it says cannot assign to value data of type array of weather locations, because we need to first do some kind of changes to our weather location objects like we did before we could compare them.